Assalamualaikum at magandang araw po sa ating lahat. I am Nornisa Abdullah. The topic that was given to me is all about the lesson 12, which is the reading assessment. So now, ano nga ba ang assessment? According to our module, assessment is more than just testing. It is an ongoing process using observation, checklist, test scores, and other data to determine a pupil's skills. Meaning, assessment is not limited to giving tests or exam. Instead, it is a continuous process that involves gathering information in different ways, like observing students, using checklists, or evaluating test scores, and also collecting other forms of data to understand what a student knows and can do. By that, we have here a types of assessment. So the first assessment we have here is formal assessment. So formal assessment are standards tests that provide data-driven results, such as percentiles or standard score, to evaluate students' performance compared to peers. So these are typically given at specific times, like the end of a unit, to summarize overall achievements. Meaning to say, formal assessment are tests that standardize and score using number or statistic. So these are the kinds of tests that tells you things like whether a pupil is doing better or worse than more kids their age. So they're usually given at certain times, like the end of a grading period or school year. Example, including big exams or reading tests with scores like percentiles or standardized scores. Another example is, dito sa formal assessment is eto yung mga, for example, yung quiz natin, yung quiz ng pupils rather. And then yung mga exams nila. So yan yung sinasabi natin na formal assessment. Kumbaga, standardized siya, like using number or statistic. Next is informal assessment. Informal assessment are content and performance-based tools like observation, running, records, and checklists. Meaning, watching and listening to how pupils are doing during class. So this include things like observing how well a child reads a book. So using checklists or writing down notes about how they perform in class activities. So this don't usually give a fancy score, but they help teachers decide what to teach next. Another example here in informal assessment is yung mga ginagawan, kasi meron din namang mga teachers na bago sila nagtuturo is meron munang pa ice break. For example, may mga dance or exercise, mga ganun ba. Yun yung other example ng informal assessment. Kumbaga, hindi siya graded. Now, next is formative assessment. So, formative assessment, it is an ongoing part of instruction that help teachers adjust teaching based on pupils' needs. Meaning to say, formative assessment is a continuous process and flexible process that happens during learnings, not after, or it helps teacher gather real-time information about how well pupils are understanding the lesson so they can adjust their teaching accordingly, whether by reviewing concept, offering more practice, or moving ahead. Next is summative assessment. Summative assessment, it is a type of assessment given at the end of a learning period, such as the end of a unit or term. Meaning to say, summative assessment is like a final check-up to see what pupils have learned after a lesson or unit or school term is finished. So it used to give grades and to measure how well pupils understand the lesson based on the learning standard or goals. Kumbaga, it's like a final exam or end of the month test. It helps teachers and schools see if their teaching methods and curriculum are working. So it happens after the lesson are done. So it's too late to change how or what is being taught. Results are used for report cards, school rankings, or deciding if pupils should move to another level or join special program. For example, after the teachers teach addition and subtraction for 4 weeks, the teacher give a test. The score from that test goes into the pupil's final grade. So if the pupil did not do well, it shows a gap. But the teacher for that topic is already finished. Kumbaga kung ano yung result ng test mo, yun na yun. Wala nang may bibigay dun si teacher kasi yun na yung result ng test mo. Unlike sa formative assessment na kumbaga doon pa lang is gina-evaluate pa lang ni teacher yung pupils while they are still learning. Kumbaga pwede siyang magbigay ng feedback, pwede nang tulungan yung pupils niya. Dito sa summative, kung ano yung result, kung ano yung score mo, yun na yun siya. So we have here a instructional strategies that can be used formatively. Now, let's proceed to explicit instruction gradual release model, which is ang I do, we do, and you do. According to our module is explicit instruction gradual release model, which is I do, we do, you do. It's is a teaching approach where the teacher starts by showing how to do a skills, which is yung I do. Then practices it together with the pupils, which is yung we do. And finally lets the pupils try it on their own, which is ang you do. So during this process, the teacher observes the pupils if they are having a hard time. So she can go back and reteach or model the skills again. But if the pupils are getting better and can do it independently, she can give them more freedom, while still offering feedback and support when needed. Kumbaga, it means the teacher adjusts her teaching based on how the pupils are progressing, starting with full support, then sharing responsibility, and finally letting them work independently. Next is criteria and goal setting with pupils. Meaning to say, the teacher should let pupils know clearly what they are supposed to learn and what good work looks like. When pupils understand the goal and what is expected of them, they are more likely to do well. For example, let's say the lesson is about writing a short paragraph. So the teacher tells the pupils the goal. Let's say the teacher might say, "Today we will learn how to write a good paragraph with a topic sentence, 3 supporting details, and a closing sentence." Then the teacher shows an example of a good paragraph and explain why it's good. Then that's the time the class talk about the paragraph, like the correct spelling, clear ideas, and neat handwriting. Then the teacher and pupils create a checklist together for writing. Like, does it have a topic sentence? Or after there 3 supporting details? Or is the handwriting neat? Or did I check my spelling? So now the pupils know what the goal is. Like writing a good paragraph and what the criteria for success are. Like the checklist and what kind of work is expected, like from the example shown. So this helps them stay on track and understand how to improve their own work. Next is observation. So in observation, Meaning to say, are not just about checking if pupils are behaving or doing their work. Instead, they are valuable tools for understanding how well pupils are learning. So when the teacher observe, they look for specific behaviors, skills, or understanding, and they can take notes on what they see. So let's say the teacher gives activity. So they're not just checking if the pupils are busy or following instruction. They are also looking closely at how well the pupils are learning. So the teacher might take notes about what each pupil is doing well or where they are still struggling. So these notes can help the teachers give helpful feedback to the pupils, like, you did a good job explaining your answer, but you need to organize your ideas better. And plan what to teach next based on what the pupils need more help with. So, kumbaga, it's like the teacher is quietly collecting clues about each pupil's learning so they can better guide and support them. Next is questioning strategies. Meaning to say, teachers should carefully plan and use good questioning strategies during their lesson because this helps pupils think more deeply and help teachers understand how well pupils are learning. For example, during the lesson, the teacher asks, why do you think 1/2 is bigger than 1/4? So this type of question makes pupils think and explain, not just give a short answer. Another example is, as pupils are working, the teacher says, if you understand the lesson, show a thumbs up. If you're still confused, thumbs down. So this gives the teacher a quick idea of who needs more help. Another is, at the end of the class, each pupil fill out a quick exit slip that says, one thing I learned to do is, and one thing I still find confusing is. So the teacher reads this to plan the next lesson. Another example is, the teacher also encourages pupils to ask questions like, what will happen in the story? Let's say, nagbigay ng story si teacher. Then the teacher will ask, what will happen in the story? So this helps pupils think more critically and encourage with the topic. So these strategies help the teacher check if the lesson is working and adjust it to help everyone learn better. In short, effective questioning is a powerful part of formative assessment that support both teaching and learning. Next is self and peer assessment. So when we say self-assessment is when pupils think about their own work and decide how well they did. So this helps them reflect on what they've learned and see how they can improve. Peer assessment naman is when pupils look at each other's work and give feedback. So they can check if their classmates' work meets the goal and standard the class set together. For example, let's say the class has been learning how to write a persuasive essay. So after finishing their essay, the pupils read through it and ask themselves questions like, did I clear state my opinion? Or let's say, did I provide enough reason to support my opinion? Or did I check for grammar and spelling mistake? So this the time is help the pupil reflect on their own work. So to figure out what they did well and identify areas they can improve. In peer assessment naman, for example, now let's say the teacher asked the pupils to swap essay with their classmate. Then each pupils reads their peers' essays and uses a checklist, like based on the goal the class set, like having a clear reason and correct grammar to give feedback. For example, the pupil might say, you have great reason to support your opinion, but I think you should add more example to make it stronger. Another is, your conclusion is a bit weak. Maybe try restarting your opinion more clearly. So, In this case, the pupils help each other by giving constructive feedback and making sure the work meets the set goal. The benefits of this, so in self-assessment, help pupils become aware of their own strengths and weaknesses. So in peer assessment is lets pupils learn from each other and everyone improves their work by checking against the same standard. So it's like working together to learn better and growing as a team. Now, next is pupil record keeping. So, this means that when pupils keep track of their own work, like saving their quizzes, assignments, or project in a folder or notebook, it helps them see how much they've learned and improved over time. For example, a pupil keeps a learning journal or portfolio where they regularly paste or write sample of their work like essays, math problems, science experiment, or reflection sheets. So at the end of the term, they might include a math quiz where they score low. Over time, they add improved work and write short reflection like, I used to struggle with multiplication but now I can solve word problem on my own. So this record shows visible progress and help the pupils see that they are learning and improving even if they don't always get perfect grades. It also allows the teachers to give more meaningful feedback based on the pupils' journey. Now let's proceed to another types of assessment, which is the norm reference test. So, meaning to say, norm reference tests are designed to compare a pupil's performance with others, not just to check what the pupils has learned from the curriculum. For example, yung giving test, yung National Achievement Test, which is yung NAT or IQ test. So, let's say 100 pupils from different schools takes the test. So, the result will show who score higher or lower compared to others. So, it doesn't necessarily tell what specific topics they need to improve, just how they did compared to others. The last one is criteria reference test. So this is measure a pupil's knowledge and skills against a specific standard or learning goal, rather than comparing them to other pupils. These tests are directly linked to what was taught in class, so they help teachers see whether a pupil has mastered a particular skill or concept. So the use of pre-test before teaching a topic and post-test after teaching allow teachers to track how much each pupil has improved over time, showing individual growth. So unlike sa norm reference is kumaga hindi doon natutukoy kung ano yung specific topic na pwedeng matutunan ng pupils. So dito sa criteria reference is kung ano lang yung gituro ni teacher na na-improve ng mga pupils. In short, criteria reference tests help teachers assign grades based on how well students meet defined learning goals, focusing on mastery of the materials rather than comparing students to one another. Now, let's proceed to early grade reading assessment. So, we have here a phonemic awareness. So, phonemic awareness means that the teacher check different parts of reading skills like sound, letters, reading speeds, word meaning, and understanding of what they read to find out what pupils already know and what they still need to learn. Based on our module, we have 4 sample phonemic awareness assessment, which is identification, deletion, addition, and manipulation. So the first one here is identification, meaning recognizing individual sound. For example, what is the first sound in dog? So the student might say it's dog. Then the teacher will ask how many sound in the word dog. So the student might answer it's 3. Then the teacher will ask the student say all the sound in the word dog. Then that's the time the students will answer D, A, G. By doing this assessment, it helps the students or it check if a child can hear and name the sound in a word. Next is deletion, meaning removing a sound from a word to see what remains. For example, the teacher might ask the student, say the word but without saying b. Then that's the time the student will say that without saying b, the remaining sound is at. By doing this deletion, as it shows if a child can break apart sound in their mind. Now, let's proceed to addition. Kanina is deletion, ngayon naman, addition. Addition means that adding a sound to a word to make a new word. For example, the teacher might ask the students to say the word lip, then the teacher will ask again, now add s in the beginning of the lip. Then that's the time the student will read the word sleep because they add s at the beginning. So by doing this addition, it helps kids understand how new word can be made by adding sound. Now, the last one is manipulation, meaning changing one sound in a word to make a different word. For example, so the teacher might ask, say the word pat. Then the teacher asks again, change the P to H. Then what word do you have? Then that's the time the students will said that it's hot because they changed the P into H. By doing this manipulation, it shows a pupil's ability to play with sounds mentally. Take notes that these are all skills tested in phonemic awareness, which is the ability to hear and work with sound in spoken words. So this is very important in early reading development because kids need strong phonemic awareness to learn how to read and spell. Now, let's proceed to letter knowledge. So, meaning to say, when assessing letter knowledge, teachers should present letters in random order, not A to Z, so the pupil don't rely on memorized sequences like the alphabet song to name the letters. So, this ensures that students truly recognize each letter individually, not just by position in the alphabet. For example, is assessing a student letter knowledge, instead of showing the letter in alphabetical order like A, B, C, D, the teacher used this mix-up order. For example, M, A, P, B, T, G, E, R, S. Then, the teacher then asked the pupils to name the letter. For example, what letter is this? Let's say nagpakita si teacher ng M. Then the teacher will ask the student, what is the letter is this? So like what I said earlier, instead of just using alphabetical like A to B, the teacher will use randomly. So we have here a sample letter knowledge assessment. So, meron tayong structure dyan, which is the teacher says, today I'm going to show you some letters. Tell me the name of the letter and what sound or sounds it represent. So, at the given is meron sa letter and name, meron tayo dyang C and capital letter naman sa name. So, meron tayo ditong given letters which is C, E, D, A, F, and etc. So, dito is si teacher is ipapa-recognize niya sa mga students kung anong sound, letter, name, and sound ang meron sa given. Let's say, wrong yung binigay ni students na sound, letter, or name. Then, the teacher will correct it. So, by using this assessment, helps the teacher see which specific letters and letter sounds the pupils know. Now let's proceed to decoding. So decoding is meaning to say is teacher check if the pupils can read words correctly by looking at how well they sound out or recognize word. So this assessment help the teacher know if the pupil can read words accurately. We have here a sample decoding assessment for short E words. So, meron tayo dito ng instruction. So, today, I'm going to show you some list of words. Read each list and stop at the button if you see a word you do not know. Try to sound it out and will note that you all the words. So, dito is, kumbaga, yung nakikita nyo naman is sa mga given dyan is, kumbaga, meron siyang short E. Kasi 'di ba, even us nagkakamali din tayo sa pag-pronounce ng mga short E. Yung mga merong short E. Dito is the teacher will ask the student to read this and the teacher will mark if the students is read it correctly. If correct naman ang pronunciation nila is that's the time na the teacher will check the correct. And also, kung correct naman yung word na gi-pronounce nila is, syempre, i-check din ni teacher yung word kung correct din ba. Kung correct lahat, edi, dyan sa gilid na correct lahat. So, by doing this assessment, help teacher find out what reading skills the pupils already know and what still need to be taught. And I think that's all in my part. Thank you for listening. I hope you all understand this and thank you for watching.